Lily Palmer stood outside Thompson's auto repair, clutching her phone and trying to convince herself this was a terrible idea. At 26, she should have better solutions to her problems than what she was about to do. But desperation makes people creative, and Lily was definitely desperate. Her family reunion was tomorrow. The reunion she'd been dreading for 6 months, ever since her cousin Jessica had announced her engagement to a successful doctor. Jessica, who never missed an opportunity to remind everyone that Lily was still single, still working at a flower shop, still figuring out her life. Lily had made a mistake 3 months ago. In a moment of weakness at her grandmother's birthday party, when Jessica had made one too many comments about Lily's perpetually single status, she'd lied. She'd invented a boyfriend, someone wonderful and successful who was just too busy to attend family events. The lie had grown with each phone call from her mother, each detail added to make the story believable. And now the reunion was tomorrow, and her imaginary boyfriend needed to become real for just one day. She pushed open the door to the auto shop, the smell of motor oil and rubber hitting her immediately. The shop was cluttered, but organized in the way that suggested someone who knew exactly where everything was. Sunlight streamed through the large bay windows, catching dust motes in golden shafts of light. A man emerged from beneath a vintage car, wiping his hands on a rag. Lily's breath caught. She'd been expecting someone older, gruff, maybe with a beer belly and grease permanently embedded under his fingernails. Instead, she found herself looking at someone close to her age, maybe early 30s, with dark hair that fell slightly over his forehead and striking eyes that held her attention a moment too long. He wore a simple gray t-shirt that suggested he spent time doing physical work, jeans worn soft with use, and work boots that had clearly seen better days. There was something almost magnetic about him, a quiet confidence that filled the space. "Can I help you?" he asked, his voice warm and genuinely friendly. "I hope so," Lily said, then immediately wanted to take the words back. This was insane. She should leave, come up with a better plan, maybe just admit to her family that she'd lied. "Car trouble?" he prompted when she didn't continue. "No. Actually, my car's fine. This is about something else entirely, and you're probably going to think I'm crazy." He smiled, and it transformed his face. "I meet a lot of interesting people in this job. Try me." Lily took a deep breath. "Just say it. The worst he can do is say no. Can you pretend to be my boyfriend for a day?" The words hung in the air between them. The man's expression shifted from friendly to surprised to something that might have been amused. "That's a new one," he said finally. "And here I thought this was going to be about needing an oil change." "I know how it sounds. I do. But I'm desperate, and you're going to think I'm absolutely pathetic when I explain why? Why don't you start with your name?" "Lily. Lily Palmer." "All right, Lily Palmer. I'm Daniel, and I have to admit you've got my attention." "Why don't you tell me what's going on?" There was something about the way he said it, without judgment, with genuine curiosity, that made Lily's carefully constructed walls come tumbling down. She told him everything. The family reunion, her cousin Jessica, the lie that had spiraled out of control, the mounting pressure from her family, the humiliation she'd face tomorrow when she showed up alone. "I know it's ridiculous," she finished. "I should just tell them the truth. But my grandmother's going to be there, and she's 87, and all she talks about is wanting to see me happy before she dies. And my mother keeps saying how proud she is that I finally found someone. And I just can't face the disappointment in their eyes when they realize I made it all up." Daniel had been listening intently, leaning against his workbench, arms crossed but posture open. When she finished, he was quiet for a long moment. "What would this entail exactly?" "Tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 6, family reunion at my aunt's house. You just have to act like we've been dating for 3 months. Be polite, answer basic questions, maybe hold my hand a few times. I'll pay you, obviously. I have $300 saved up. I know it's not much, but I don't want your money," Daniel said, cutting her off. Lily's heart sank. Of course he wouldn't do it. This was a crazy request from a stranger. What had she been thinking? "But I'll do it," he continued. "What?" "I'll pretend to be your boyfriend, no charge. On one condition." "Anything?" "You bring flowers. Nice ones, since you work at a flower shop. For your grandmother. And you stop apologizing for being human. We all make mistakes. We all get backed into corners sometimes. There's no shame in asking for help. Lily felt tears prick her eyes. Why would you do this for a stranger? Daniel shrugged, but there was depth in his expression. Maybe I know what it's like to feel like you don't measure up to family expectations. Maybe I think life's too short to let people make you feel small. Or maybe I just like the idea of helping someone have a good day. Does the reason matter? I guess not. Thank you. Really, thank you. Give me your number. I'll pick you up tomorrow at 1:30. And Lily, wear something that makes you feel confident. Not what you think they want to see. What makes you feel like yourself? The next day, Lily stood in front of her closet for 20 minutes. Her instinct was to choose something conservative, something that screamed responsible adult with her life together. Instead, she remembered Daniel's words. She chose a floral dress she'd bought on impulse months ago, but never worn, thinking it was too cheerful, too much like herself. When the doorbell rang at exactly 1:30, her heart was pounding. This was it. Either this would work, or it would be a disaster of epic proportions. She opened the door and almost didn't recognize him. Daniel stood there in dark jeans and a button-down shirt, casual but put together. His hair was styled, though still with that slight fall over his forehead that made him look approachable. He cleaned up remarkably well, but it was more than that. He looked comfortable in his own skin, confident without being arrogant. "You look beautiful," he said simply, and the way he said it made her believe he meant it. "You clean up pretty well yourself." "I have my moments." He held out his hand. "Ready to go convince your family we're madly in love?" Lily took his hand, feeling the calluses from working with tools, the strength in his grip. "As ready as I'll ever be." In the car, Daniel asked questions. Not just the basics they'd need to keep their story straight, but real questions. How they met. What their first date was like. What made her laugh. What made her feel alive. They crafted a story together. One that felt real because it was based on who they actually were. "Tell me about the flower shop," Daniel said as they drove. "It's small, on Maple Street. I've been there 4 years. It's not glamorous, but I love it. There's something magical about helping people express feelings they can't put into words. A bouquet for a new baby, an apology, a first date, a funeral. Flowers mark all our important moments. That sounds like more than just a job." "It is. My family doesn't see it that way. They think I'm wasting my potential, that I should have gone into business or law like my cousins. But I don't think loving what you do is settling." "It's not," Daniel said firmly. "Loving your work is winning." They pulled up to her aunt's house, a sprawling suburban home with cars already lining the street. Lily's stomach churned. "Hey," Daniel said softly, taking her hand. "We've got this. Just follow my lead, okay? And remember, you're not asking them to accept you. You already are exactly who you're supposed to be." The reunion was in full swing when they walked into the backyard. Lily's mother spotted her immediately, her face lighting up. Then she saw Daniel, and her expression transformed into something Lily had rarely seen. Pride. "Lily, sweetheart." Her mother rushed over, pulling her into a hug before turning to Daniel. "And you must be Daniel. We've heard so much about you." "All good things, I hope," Daniel said with an easy smile, shaking her hand warmly. "Lily's been very mysterious about you. We were beginning to think you might be imaginary." Lily felt her face flush, but Daniel just laughed. I know. My work schedule has been brutal, but I couldn't miss today. Family's important, and Lily talks about you all so much. I felt like I needed to finally meet the people who made her who she is." Her mother practically melted. Within minutes, Daniel was being introduced around, shaking hands, making small talk, charming every single person he met. But what struck Lily most was how natural it felt. He wasn't performing. He was genuinely interested in her family, asking her grandmother about her garden, talking to her uncle about his vintage car collection, playing with her young cousins like he'd known them for years. Then Jessica appeared, her engagement ring catching the sunlight, her doctor-fiancé Brandon in tow. "Lily," Jessica said with her trademark smile that never quite reached her eyes. "So this is the mysterious boyfriend. I was starting to think you'd made him up." "Jessica," Lily said, forcing herself to smile. "This is Daniel." "Daniel. My cousin Jessica and her fiancé Brandon. Congratulations on your engagement, Daniel said smoothly. Lily mentioned you're marrying a doctor. That's impressive. Brandon puffed up slightly. Emergency medicine. Long hours but rewarding. And what do you do, Daniel? Here it was. The moment where their story would crumble. Lily had told her family Daniel was in business, vague enough to be believable, but she hadn't prepared for direct questions. I own a business, Daniel said easily. Started from the ground up about 8 years ago. It's been a lot of work, but I love what I do. What kind of business? Jessica pressed, clearly fishing for something to diminish. Auto repair and restoration. Classic cars, mainly. It's not glamorous, but there's something satisfying about taking something broken and making it beautiful again. Lily's heart sank. An auto mechanic. Jessica was going to have a field day with this. But before Jessica could respond, Lily's grandmother appeared, moving slowly but with purpose. Daniel, she said, and everyone quieted. I want to see this young man who's made my Lily smile again. Daniel knelt slightly so he was at her grandmother's eye level. Mrs. Palmer, Lily brought you these. He gestured to the elaborate bouquet Lily had created that morning. Pink peonies and roses in full bloom. Her grandmother's eyes misted. Peonies. My favorite. Lily remembered. She talks about you all the time, Daniel said gently. Says you taught her to see the beauty in simple things. That's a gift. Her grandmother studied him for a long moment, then patted his cheek. You're a good man. I can see it. Don't let this family intimidate you with their fancy careers and big houses. Character matters more than resumes. Yes, ma'am. I couldn't agree more. The afternoon unfolded in a way Lily hadn't expected. Yes, there were awkward moments. Yes, Jessica made a few pointed comments about the differences between doctors and mechanics. But Daniel handled everything with grace and quiet confidence. He didn't try to prove himself or compete. He simply was himself, and somehow that was enough. At one point, Lily's mother pulled her aside. He's wonderful, she said quietly. Really, Lily? I haven't seen you this happy in years. Guilt twisted in Lily's stomach. Mom, I don't care what he does for a living. I care that he looks at you like you're the most important person in the room. That's rare, sweetheart. As the reunion wound down and the golden light of late afternoon filled the yard, Lily found herself standing with Daniel by the garden. Away from the crowd. Thank you, she said quietly. For today, for being kind to my grandmother, for not making me feel pathetic. Lily, Daniel said, turning to face her. There's something I need to tell you. Her stomach dropped. Here it was. The revelation that he thought she was crazy, that this was the weirdest day of his life, that he never wanted to see her again. I wasn't entirely honest with you, he continued. About who I am. What do you mean? I do own Thompson's Auto Repair. That part's true, but it's not just one shop. It's 17 shops across 3 states. Thompson's Auto Group. We do about $40 million in revenue annually. I'm the CEO. Lily stared at him, her mind trying to process this information. You're a CEO? My grandfather started the first shop. My dad expanded it. I took over 8 years ago and grew it into something bigger. But I still work in the original shop most days because I love it. I love the smell of motor oil, the problem solving, the satisfaction of fixing things. The business side is necessary, but the shop floor is where I feel most myself. Why didn't you tell me? Because when you walked into my shop yesterday, you saw me. Not my title, not my bank account, not what I could do for you, just me. And when your cousin asked what I did, I could have told her I'm a CEO. Could have watched her expression change, watched the respect appear that wasn't there before. But I didn't want that. I wanted to see who would judge me for being a mechanic and who would see past the label. Your grandmother passed the test, by the way. So did you. Lily felt something shift inside her. I don't understand. Why would someone like you agree to this crazy scheme? Daniel smiled. Because a brave woman walked into my shop and asked for help. Because I know what it's like to feel like you have to be something you're not to make your family proud. And maybe because I've been looking for someone who sees me for who I am, not what I have. Someone who brings flowers to her grandmother and works in a flower shop because it makes her happy, even when everyone tells her she should want more. This day was supposed to be fake, Lily whispered. I know. But somewhere between your grandmother's garden and watching you laugh with your cousins, Between the flower shop stories and the way you refuse to apologize for being yourself, it stopped feeling fake to me. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe we could try this for real. No pretending. Just two people who met in the strangest way possible, getting to know each other. What do you think? Lily looked at this man who'd pretended to be her boyfriend and somehow shown her what a real partner could look like. Someone who saw her, valued her, didn't need her to be anything other than exactly who she was. I think I'd like that, she said. But fair warning, my family's going to be impossible now. They're going to plan our wedding before our second date. Let them plan. We'll move at our own pace. Deal? Deal. 6 months later, they were still taking things slow, but Lily had never been happier. She'd learned that Daniel really did work at his original shop most days, that he lived in a modest apartment despite being able to afford much more, that he donated most of his wealth to programs that helped young people learn trades. And when they finally told her family the truth about how they met, her grandmother laughed until she cried. "Only you, Lily," she said, "could find true love by asking a stranger to be your fake boyfriend. Sometimes the most honest things start with a lie." A year later, when Daniel proposed in the flower shop where Lily worked, surrounded by blooms in every color, she said yes without hesitation. Not because he was a CEO or because he'd saved her from family embarrassment, but because he'd seen her completely and loved her anyway. Because sometimes the best relationships start in the most unexpected ways. Sometimes pretending to be something can help you discover what's real. And sometimes the person you need is working in an auto shop, waiting for someone brave enough to ask for help. All you have to do is walk through the door. If this story reminded you that authenticity matters more than appearances, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of unexpected love and second chances. Comment below about a time you took a chance on something that seemed crazy but turned out to be exactly right. Sometimes the best things in life start with a leap of faith.